I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please call the roll.
Trustee Khan.
Here.
Trustee Minks.
Here.
Trustee Shiva is absent with notice. Trustee Thill.
Here.
Trustee Travis.
Here.
And Trustee White is absent with notice. So there are 4 present and 2 absent with notice, Your Honor.
Thank you. Can I get an approval of the meeting minutes from May 26th?
I'll make the motion to approve the regular meeting minutes of May 26, 2026.
Second.
Motion made by Trustee Minks, seconded by Trustee Thill. Any questions, comments, clarifications? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, no public hearings. Special reports. Who's going to present on River Drive?
So we're going to have 2 reports on River Drive. The first will be the zoning component, which will be done by Community and Economic Development Director Zoe Hydorn.
Good evening, Mayor and Trustees. For a second time, it's my pleasure to present case PC 2506, a request for approval of a plat of subdivision and a special use permit to authorize the construction and operation of a warehousing and light manufacturing facility at the approximately 11-acre property located at 8125 through 45 River Drive and 8120 through 40 Lehigh Avenue, all within the Office Research Manufacturing District. In 2025, Curve Industrial, who's here this evening, and also formerly known as Bridge Industrial, submitted an application seeking authorization to construct a 210-square-foot facility intended to house the regional headquarters of BBJ La Tavola, an event linen rental company currently based in Niles, along with a second unidentified tenant. On June 3rd, 2025, the Appearance Commission reviewed the proposal and recommended approval. And shortly after, on June 5th, the Traffic Safety Commission also recommended approval as presented. The applicant first appeared before the Plan Commission at public hearings held on June 17th and July 29th, 2025. Following discussion and public comment, the Commission voted to table the matter to allow the applicant additional time to address concerns raised. In response, the applicant revised the proposal and returned to the Plan Commission on March 12, 2026 with updated plans. However, following discussion regarding the scale and the development, the scale of the development and the uncertainty around the second unknown tenant, the motion to recommend approval failed on a 3-3 vote. Following the March meeting, the applicant again revised the proposal, significantly reducing the building's overall mass and modifying the project to include only one single tenant, BBJ La Tavola. After reviewing the revised concept at its April 28th meeting, the Village Board voted to remand the application back to the Plan Commission for further consideration as permitted under Title 12. The revised plans were subsequently reviewed by the chairpersons of the Appearance and Traffic Safety Commissions, who waived the need for additional review by their full commissions. At its May 19th meeting, the Plan Commission reviewed the revised application materials, which proposed an approximately 170,000 square foot building, a nearly 20% reduction in footprint by comparison with the previous proposal. Following discussion, the Plan Commission voted unanimously 6-0 to recommend approval of the application, subject conditions related to site and building design, as well as limitations on future truck traffic generated. I'd be happy to answer any questions, and I apologize for the long history, but it is a long one. We also have Curve here, and BBJ La Tavola is traveling on business, but he looks forward to attending the next board meeting.
I know it's been a very thoughtful process. I know we've answered and asked a lot of questions, so I don't know if anyone has any additional questions tonight at this point for Zoe. No?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And Chuck?
All right. So I'm going to present the other component related to this project, which is the 6B tax incentive request. So this is also for 8125 to 45 River Drive and 8120 to 40 Lehigh Avenue as part of Midwest RE Acquisitions LLC. So this is actually an item that would be a resolution for the Village Board's consideration. And as you know, there's not 2 readings traditionally for such items, but because the complementary or the additional special use has 2 readings, in the spirit of transparency, we're presenting this twice for the board. So we'll present tonight, but no actions being requested. It would be on the agenda for formal consideration next meeting. So With the 6B, which the village has, to my recollection, never approved a 6B, it is a 12-year property tax incentive designed to encourage industrial development, and industrial properties eligible would be new construction, substantial rehabilitation, or reoccupancy of abandoned property, and that's defined as being 24 months. So industrial real estate is assessed at 25% market value, and properties with 6B classification and how they get assessed would be, for the first 10 years, they're assessed at 10% their market rate, which equates to roughly, or not roughly, to a 60% reduction in their assessment. Year 11 is a 40% reduction to 15%, and year 12 is assessed at 20%, which is a 20% reduction. The village has never passed a resolution in support of a Class 6B. In the past 7 years, we've received 2 formal applications, and they were both turned down by staff, and we've had multiple inquiries. All have been turned down by staff. I want to highlight this just because from the village's perspective, we are very cognizant of the 6B's implications and are also very deliberate with what we believe should be worthy of coming up to the village board's attention, just because we know we don't want to create a potential burden on other taxpayers. So we'd only want to present projects that would merit the investment by the village. The Cook County program requires local resolution or ordinance in support, and the Class 6B classification is finalized when construction is completed. So there is an incentive for the project to actually work through the whole thing before they get the actual incentive in place. And then the tax savings are redistributed among all properties within the taxing districts. And then the Class 6B application was reviewed by our consultant, JRG, who does all of our TIF consultants, our TIF reviews, and then they evaluate the appropriateness and substantiate the request. I won't go through this, but this is just a list of what other communities have done with regards to 6B. So it is not a rare occurrence, but it is something that multiple communities in our immediate area do use to incentivize larger projects. So the current property, which Zoe went through very well, is 11 acres, and it's zoned for office, research, manufacturing. It's currently 2 improved office buildings. It's reported as 75% vacant, and 11 tenants were in there in 2017, but 9 years later, we're down to 2 tenants. It was rezoned in 2017 to allow for more non-industrial uses, but as we look at it, and we've received different proposals, such as adult daycares, speculative industrial, recreational, and tax-exempt uses. So a variety of different uses have been presented since it got changed over to MOR. So I know Zoe covered this very well. This is the proposed project. It'd be about 170,000 square feet. It'd be a $30 million project. It would provide for a single tenant, and it would include their operations for showroom, office, linen fabrication, laundering, equipment rentals, and interior storage. And it would provide a significant capital improvement investment, and would also include environmental remediation and public infrastructure improvements. So knowing that this would be the first time that the village board has formally discussed this, something that we had our consultants look at was just what is the impact, what is the property tax look like. So for the current building, and they've not done any action to reduce their tax liability, which they likely could with the occupancy rate, is just over $1 million. Cook County appeal is in progress for the 75% vacancy that would reduce the bill by 41%. Currently, we believe there's 2 scenarios. So if the building is reoccupied, which we believe is unlikely, then the tax bill would stay likely level at where it is at 1.1 million, or go up to 1.4 million, which would be 14 million in total. The other scenario, which I would say seems more likely from staff's perspective, is the building remains at its current 75% vacancy and is assessed for vacancy granted, which is a 41% increase, which would provide a range of between $633,000 to $852,000 a year, or 8.7 million. So no redevelopment, our estimate is at 8.7 million with no redevelopment, but it somehow is able to reoccupy, which the owner has said is not likely, would be 14.6 million over a 12-year period. And then redevelopment in Class 6B, which what we're presenting tonight, is 9.7 million, and that would be over the 12-year period for the actual incentive period for the 6B. That being said, for a project like this, we would anticipate it being on the books for a number of years past that. So looking at a typical window that we have here of 20 years, when you look at, there's basically 3 scenarios that we discussed in the last slide, and the red and green, I should say the green is the redevelopment with 6B, what is being proposed. You see after year 10, it starts going upwards as the reductions start falling off the books, and then after year 12 is where you get to the normal assessed level where you're looking at just over $2 million in that first year, as compared with what would likely happen in the yellow scenario where no redevelopment and the building is reoccupied, staying as status quo, no investment in the building, and it stays in its current state, which, as the property owner has indicated, is unlikely, or in no redevelopment where there's a vacancy assessment, the property continues to languish, has lower property taxes, a little bit more than, possibly more than, a little bit more than what we get right now with the redevelopment with the 6B, but otherwise stays stagnant for its property taxes. And the one thing that I do want to add, and this is a question that Trustee Minkson added, and I know others had it, which is what is the estimated impact to other residents and properties, just because as you would adjust the tax for this property, what would that mean for a regular property owner? By JRG's estimate, it would be, on a $500,000 home, would be about $4.15 would be the impact on a typical homeowner for their property tax bill. So the proposed project, and then verifying the need, this is a big component of the 6B, just because for any time the village is looking to invest in a project, we always look at, but for the village's investment, would this be possible? And looking at this, it's a $30 million project and included $13.2 million in invested equity. So their IRR, which is the investment rate of return, and used for capital budget estimate. So for the 2027 to 2038 tax bill without the 6B, it'd be $1.5 million to $2.1 million annually, which equates to $21.2 million total. When you compare that to with the 6B, you would get it reduced to $9.7 million over the 12 years of the effectiveness of the 6B. This would equate to a property tax difference of $11.5 million, which is 8.1 with the net present value. And it's our review, and JRG, our consultants, would agree with this, is that the project would not be possible without the 6B incentive. So this chart kind of goes through what the potential loss gain would be for the 20 years, so it builds off the charts from a couple slides ago. But in looking at this, for the first couple of years, you would have a net loss. But as you get to years 11 and 12, where you would start to see the incentive falling off a little bit, we would likely move into the black for the total impact for property taxes. And then in the later years of 13 through 20 is where you would likely see significant gain and improvement for the taxpayers and see the investment coming onto the tax rolls fully. So in terms of a project like this, whenever the village is asked to provide financial support for a project, there's always an important aspect of, is this worth the village's investment? From staff's perspective, I would say wholeheartedly. The industrial investment is $30 million. This also equates to 250 new jobs that would be located in Morton Grove. There's local tax generation by BBJ in the amount of about $40,000 annually to the village. It was barely touched on, but there'd be reconstruction of Park Avenue at the developer's expense, and then significant contribution to the Lehigh Avenue lighting project. There'd be environmental remediation for the property itself, be adding 260 trees or preserving trees and planting. It'd be LEED designed and certified, and then new stormwater detention infrastructure and capacity. So in summary, but for the 6B, this project would not be able to occur based on the IRR. This facilitates $30 million in new investment. It provides predictability in our tax base, land use, and occupancy. It adds assessed value to the tax base and reduces our tax burden on other properties over time. It allows us to use an economic incentive tool to target a very specific project It allows us to maintain competitiveness in our industrial area, and it will also allow us to keep reviewing these on a case-by-case basis. So one thing that is not on the agenda tonight, but would be on our agenda in 2 weeks, is that as part of this going forward, we would like to develop a formal application process. And in advance of having that process going forward, we would just ask, after this is considered at the next meeting, possible of a moratorium on 6B applications while staff develop a process and application for the board's consideration, with the understanding that based on the board's feedback tonight and in 2 weeks, we'd want to include that in any application process, just because we would want to make sure, as we've frankly said no to a lot of projects in the past, we'd want to still have that ability to be very specific in with what is expected from the village if we're going to be contributing funds. So large investment, something that's going to be new construction, redeveloping, remediation, things that are very much important to the community, especially for a disused site. So that would be what we'd be looking to do in 2 weeks as part of consideration on this item. And with that, that concludes my formal presentation, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Does anybody have questions on this?
Would you explain the difference between a TIF district and a targeted deal like this?
Absolutely. So a TIF district is a preset geographical area where the property tax is frozen at a certain level at a point in time. For example, our Dempster Street TIF was just established for the property taxes as of, I think it was January, or not January 1st, but as an earlier point this year. And then from that point on, any increases in the tax base would go into the TIF. For this project, it is based entirely on them doing an application to have a set period about 12 years. TIFs are about 21 years, but 12 years where they would have a reduced tax bill, but they only get the money after they complete the work. And it also is based on the 12 years, and it's a refunding of their taxes as opposed to a property in a TIF district is still paying the full boat for their property taxes. It's just we may choose to refund part of that as part of an RDA in certain circumstances.
Are we bringing the other taxing bodies in on this decision, or is it strictly ours?
In line with the Cook County law, it is a resolution from us. It's not something that is decided by other governing bodies.
Okay. And this is a question you probably can't answer. Maybe they can't either. Do they have a potential start date if this does pass?
I would yield to them. I know they are very eager to move forward, so I don't want to speak for them, but I would say they are very interested to move forward as fast as possible.
Okay. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, hearing none, thank you.
Thank you.
Residents' comments on agenda items only at this time? Mike Tracy?
Mike Tracy, 8110, 8120 River Drive. A few of the questions I have are this taxing district. When we talk about taxing district, does that mean the industrial district or does that mean the entire town? That's
This
one
is for-
question.
Okay,
The $4 per resident, we have about 8,000 homes or residents in the town, I'm assuming. At $4, that's $8,000. You indicated $8,000 would be what the residents would have to pick up if this 6B were granted. 6B, currently the tax bill is $1,000,004. We verified that with the county assessor. And would the taxes be locked in $1,000,004 or at the 30 million? If they get a discount off the 30 million as projected cost of construction, well, then we're okay. But it's going to be based on the 1.4 million. Who's going to pick up the difference? So they're going to end up with a $400,000 tax bill. We're going to have about $1 million to spare. Who's going to pay the school district? That's about $700,000. The residents or the taxing district of the industrial base. You have about 50 properties in the industrial space in Morton Grove. It's currently taxed at the highest tax rate of the neighboring cities. I've checked into that. The average home in Morton Grove is approximately 65 years old, I'm going to guess. The building that we're talking about, which seems so obsolete, is about 35 years old. Maybe the use for the current period is obsolete. Maybe offices are not the trend. They may come back, and if not, well, there's other uses. There are uses for that type of building in the area, all the small users. You have twin buildings, you have loading areas between the buildings. You can pop out a few of the precast panels and create a small industrial complex there that would fit into the property. I'm not so keen on the white elephant they're building. I made that clear in all the different hearings. I'm definitely not keen on this huge tax break we're handing someone. It's not we're going to recoup anything. 10, 12 years, half this board won't be here, including me. What are we doing in 12 years? We're going to give this guy $1 million tax break every year? For what reason? What's the purpose of having this large warehouse on Lehigh right on the road? 4 stories tall. Because we're going to bring jobs 5 blocks away that are coming from Niles on Howard Street? 200 jobs? What's that going to bring to Morton Grove? The same people work there are going to come here. Yeah, maybe they may add 50 jobs, 100 jobs. Okay. It's not saying nobody else can. In 2019, I think the city came and redesigned the zoning.
Just to let you know.
Pardon me?
30 seconds, sorry.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's okay then.
Thank you. Anybody else? Come on down.
Rob Busum with 8110, 8120 River Drive. I'll just be very brief. I'll take more of a larger picture approach just about what we're asking the village to commit to here today. The numbers he just showed was asking for potential $11.5 million tax difference. This project, I said this months ago, this project will not happen without 6B. We need to ask ourselves, like Mike said, why are we willing to make this concession? 6B needs to be considered very, very carefully. This is a significant project. I heard the gentleman over there say, this could be a potential tax burden. I said, potential? Are you kidding me? Potential? I'm 45. I'm a young man, 45 years old. By the time I see the first tax benefits, I'll be 57 years old. Okay? So we need to think about what we're doing. And another question I have in general is, has anyone consulted any of the other taxing bodies, such as the school districts, the fire departments, that will be directly affected for the next 12 years? The number one argument against a 6B, application is the, unfair shift of the tax burden, right? So that's a fact. That is the number one argument against any 6B application. How is the tax burden being shifted? Going and look at my notes, it says the savings are going to be redistributed. I'd like to get some clarification on what that means. What districts is it being redistributed to? Does that go back to the homeowners? Does that go back to the school districts? Does that go back to the police, the fire? I don't understand that language, so I'd like to get some clarification on that if I could in the future. And I'd also just like to say that this plan shows absolutely no optimism for Morton Grove. We are willing to lay down 12 years of taxes with the option of renewal, may I add. They have an option to renew after 12 years at a higher rate, I believe. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure there's always an option for renewal after the 12 years, which means it would be extended even further. Are we saying that in the next 12 years, some tech company, some medical device company, something that can actually pay their own way like every other private business has to do, like we've done? We always talk about, I was joking. I said the Chicago Bears can't get a tax break in Chicago. What are we doing here? So I just ask you all to be very thoughtful and contemplate this very carefully, because this isn't like a $50,000 deal. I wouldn't be here. This is $11.5 million over 12-year tax difference. And I'd also like to note that the numbers that I saw up here tonight are very rosy. They're looking at the numbers through a very rose-colored lens. You know, they're assuming that there's going to be some tax appeals. We appeal our taxes every year, and we are rarely successful. So the idea that they're going to get some crazy vacancy rebate when Cook County is not looking to reduce taxes on commercial and multifamilies. So once again, we have to look at big picture, think of the average person. We have a major corporation that represents institutional pension funds. What are we doing handing out this kind of money to these people when they can actually afford to do this on them by themselves? Yeah, they might have to eat a little money on the front end,
30
just like we
seconds.
did. When Mike invested in all these properties, we had to eat all that on the front end and make it up over 30 years in the neighborhood. So I understand the spirit of it. I understand that we want to develop the neighborhood, but I just think that it doesn't speak well for Morton Grove that we're willing to forfeit 12 years of taxes and saying nothing else can be done here. Nothing. Oh, this is our only option. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, hearing none, we are going to get to the president's report, and I am going to ask Jerica Gill to come up to the podium, please. I'd also like to recognize that the Niles Township District of Special Education Director, Dr. Taryn Kendrick is here, and the principal, Marie Sheedy, is here as well. So I'm going to read something in your honor, because it's pretty major. Jerica Gill was awarded the Golden Apple Award for Excellence in Teaching at the same time almost that she had a baby. So congratulations on both.
Thank you.
That's amazing. So I'm going to read this proclamation for you. Whereas the Village of Morton Grove is home to Niles Township District for Special Education and the Julia S. Malloy Education Center, and whereas Malloy provides high-quality professional learning opportunities for residents in Morton Grove and across the North Shore, and whereas the Niles Township District for Special Education is home to teachers and professionals who improve the lives of our community's youth every day, and whereas Jerica Gill teaches 4th through 8th grade students at Malloy and helps to develop skill building that changes her students' trajectories for the better, and whereas Golden Apple inspires, develops, and supports teacher and school leader excellence, especially in schools of need, and whereas Golden Apple honors outstanding teachers and school leaders, and whereas Golden Apple received 600 nominations for the 4th to 8th grade teachers in 2026, and whereas Golden Apple selected Jerica Gill with the Golden Apple Award for Excellence in Teaching, and whereas Golden Apple selected Jerica Gill was recognized for service to her students and serving as a mentor to her fellow staff members, and now, therefore, I, Janine Whitcomb, Mayor of the Village of Morton Grove, do hereby proclaim and congratulate Jerica Gill for the Golden Apple Award for Excellence in Teaching in the Village, and I urge all citizens to join me in thanking Jerica Gill and her fellow educators for their tireless efforts. Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
This is a major award, and when if you'd like to say something, feel free. It's up to you.
Just thank you to the board for having me here today. It's an honor to be a recipient of the Golden Apple and to represent Malloy and our population and all of our staff.
We're so
thank
thankful
you.
to have you in town. Thank you for everything, and you can have an official copy of the proclamation. Thank you, and congratulations. And we won't be offended if you guys want to leave. All right, that is it for me. Clerk's report,
No report, Your Honor.
staff report, village administrator.
No report.
Okay, Corporation Council. Reports by trustees. Trustee Khan.
Thank you, Your Honor. I do not have a formal report, but I have a comment to make on the minutes of meeting from last time. That was May 26th, and I missed that meeting. I was absent with notice. I was reviewing the case PC 26-05, which was presented to Appearance Commission on April 2nd, and I believe that case passed in the Appearance, the Planning, the Traffic Commission, and then was at the Board of Trustees. I believe it passed with the majority. It's a question about the proceedings of that meeting, especially in the Appearance Commission. When I went through the minutes of the meeting, I realized that one of the commissioners is a stakeholder in that property that was voted on. So I believe that's something that we should be more cognizant of, and that person should have excused himself from voting for that case This was the Poco Loco case, and we have one of the commissioner who's a part of Poco Loco daycare. So that was a comment that I wanted to make. Since I read the minutes of the meeting, I feel it's my duty to call out on something that I noted was, we could have done a better job on that. That's all that I have for my report, and with that, I end my report. Thank you so much, Your
noted.
Honor.
Thank you. Trustee Minks.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have no formal report, but I did want to mention that Morton Grove Days is coming to town from July 2nd through July 5th with the carnival rides, live entertainment, and endless family fun. Please visit www.mortongrovedays.org to stay up to date. And we'd also like to mention that we're still welcoming parade participants. So if you're able to join with your friends and family to walk, drive, or bike in the parade, please visit the village's website to sign up today. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you. I believe Trustee Travis will read Trustee Sheba's note, or you're going to read it with yours? Okay. Trustee Thill?
Yes, I have one ordinance, 2612. It's introducing amended Title 5, Chapter 13, Article F, Section 4, entitled Restricted Parking Streets of the Municipal Code of the Village of Morton Grove. Basically, what this is around Niles West, there's one big area that is restricted, but now it's being broken into 3 smaller zones. The kids at the school are parking in the neighborhood, and the people have a very difficult time in finding a place to park in front of their own house. So that's the reason we're having. And I move we accept. No, this is the first read. No, I move that we accept ordinance 2612.
It is the first read, so we'll hold that till next time.
I guess I'm right. End of my report.
Thank you. Trustee Travis?
Thank you. On behalf of Trustee Sheba, the 2026 Greener Morton Grove Award Program, the village's Morton Grove Environment and Natural Resources Commission encourages and invites residents and local businesses to participate in the 2026 Greener Morton Grove Award Program, recognizing meaningful efforts that support a cleaner, healthier, and more sustainable community. Winners will be announced at the 2026 Morton Grove Sustainability Expo on Saturday, September 19th. So please visit the village's website to sign up today. And then on behalf of the Community Relations Commission, mark your calendar for the village's annual community garage sale, which is set to take place this weekend, Friday through Sunday. And you can visit the village's website to find a map of the participating homes. And then our summer photo contest has begun accepting submissions for the 2026 summer photo contest. The event will run September 1st, with winning photos being acknowledged at a future board meeting and being displayed at Village Hall. The contest invites residents to capture the spirit of what makes the village special. And lastly, a special thank you to all the residents who helped beautify Dempster Street and Waukegan Road by participating in the Community Relations Adopt a Planter program this past weekend. I'd like to also thank Public Works and our CRC volunteers who helped make plant pickup run smoothly. I'd like to recognize CRC members Rosemary Eliotto, Peggy Borg, Janice Cha, Ginny Chinyin Lo, Christy Chalabi, and Lori Katz. And for those who adopted planters, please remember to check on your planters to be sure they're watered and continue to look beautiful throughout the summer. And that is the end of my report. Thank you.
Thank you. And Trustee White is absent with notice, so Chuck, you'll read his ordinances.
So on behalf of Trustee White, I would like to present ordinance 2613, which is a first reading, and it's amending Title 1, Chapter 11, Section 4, entitled Fees for Specific Permits, Licenses, Certificates, and Services, and Title 10, Chapter 5, entitled Property Maintenance Regulations, to establish a structural integrity inspection program for select multifamily residences. So as the board and public may recall, in March of this year, we experienced a partial building collapse on Lincoln Avenue in Morton Grove. So as a result of that, there was a long-term displacement of the residents in that building. And the village continues to work with residents in that facility. But as part of that process, we identified that there might be some structural deficiencies that pose a safety risk to residents and the general public. So as part of our review and following up in that situation, we identified that there may be advantages for the village to develop a program to actually do a structural integrity inspection program, so to work with multifamily units that are 30 years or older, that so they can actually have inspections, make sure that they are structurally sound, provide that report to the village, and allows us to make sure that if buildings are experiencing structural deficiencies, there's a mechanism for them to identify those concerns and to address them. Because our biggest concern is making sure that we identify safety risk and give a path forward for people to fix it. A lot of what we presented in our ordinance, which is would be up for a second reading and approval in 2 weeks, is based on Florida, which has done a lot of work in regards to making sure multifamily units over 30 years old are safe. And so what we are looking to present is a structural integrity program that allows for multifamily units to start reporting out this information to us and also build a structure going forward. So if these multifamily units do identify problems, that we can help them address it and give them the tools to identify the problems. With part of this, our goal would be starting the program as soon as possible and providing units until July 1st, 2027 to provide their assessments for those who are over 30 years old. And with that, I would be happy to answer any questions the mayor and board may have.
John?
I had just one specific question. Do you have any update as to what's happening with that building now?
So I know they are looking to schedule another meeting with their homeowners association. It is still not occupied. The occupancy has still been revoked. And I know that the insurance carrier for the building is, I believe, still reviewing the situation. And we are in contact with the residents just to provide feedback and try to help them. But my understanding is they are finalizing the next steps from the report, and they are working with their insurance carrier because it'd be likely they would be looking for reimbursement for the cost to rehabilitate the building to make it occupiable.
So it's not on a fast track.
I would not make that comment, but I know they are working on it. I know we're trying to help them as much as we can.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay.
And then my next item is what Zoe presented earlier, which is ordinance 2614. Again, first reading tonight is approving a preliminary plat of subdivision and special use permit with associated waivers for a warehouse and light manufacturing use at the property commonly known as 8125, 8145 River Drive and 8120 through 8140 Lehigh Avenue in Morton Grove, Illinois. Knowing that we had presented on it already, I won't add anything else to it, but I'd be happy to answer any questions the mayor or board may have.
Anybody? Hearing none? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
No other business. Presentation of warrants. Trustee Khan.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'd like to present a warrant register for June 9, 2026 in the amount of $417,166.33. And I hereby make a motion to approve the warrant register as presented tonight.
Second.
Motion made by Trustee Khan, seconded by Trustee Minks. Any questions or clarifications? Please call the vote.
Trustee Khan?
Aye.
Trustee Minks?
Aye.
Trustee Phil?
Aye.
Trustee Travis?
Aye.
The June 9th warrants pass as presented with 4 ayes, 0 nays, and 2 absent with notice.
Thank you. Residents' comments on anything. Anybody? Can you go up first? Can I go up first? Oh, okay. Hello.
Comment on the ordinance? If there's a comment on it?
Just so,
Which is the facade ordinance you're talking about?
but you know this is, you just make your comments, and if you have questions, we can
Right,
follow up with you
okay.
after.
Comment I have is, I'm in the facade ordinance business, so, and I also own properties here that are over 3 stories. What is the inspection going to be every year, or is it going to be every 5 years? Have we come up with a date on that? Currently, there's only one facade ordinance that's required, and that's the city of Chicago. The others are just kind of a general ordinance.
Can I ask you to email that maybe to Chuck, and he can
All
get
right,
back to you?
I'll
with it?
email you some
Okay.
questions there, because I had some questions as to, how often are you going to do this? It's a costly process, so you're going to put some strain on some building owners of $4,000 or $5,000 just for the report from an engineer. And if that's every year, that's going to add to the total, picture. Thank you.
Thank you.
it's every 10 years after the first year.
Okay, you can still email them. Okay, anybody else? All right, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion made by trustee Mink, seconded by trustee Khan. All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting ends at 7.